There is a principle that many people overlook. The greatest progress happens in silence. Most of us are so busy trying to prove something to others, trying to explain ourselves, trying to respond to every opinion, that we miss the very thing that gives us strength: quiet focus. When you learn to stay silent, you gain an advantage that few understand. Silence is not weakness. It is not ignorance. It is not a lack of confidence. Silence is a strategy. The most powerful people in history were not the loudest. They were the most focused. They understood that noise does not produce results. Noise only attracts attention, but silence attracts progress. Silence has often been misunderstood by many as a sign of weakness or fear, but in reality, it is one of the most powerful strategies a person can ever embrace. When you choose silence intentionally, you are not surrendering, you are securing control. Silence is wisdom in motion because it gives you the ability to observe without interference, to analyze without distraction, and to make decisions without the pressure of external opinion. People who do not understand this principle often waste their energy trying to respond to everything and everyone. They want to prove themselves, defend their name, and argue their position. In doing so, they lose time, energy, and focus, the very resources needed for their growth and success. When you understand the purpose of silence, you begin to see that it is not passive but active. Silence allows you to take control of your emotions. How many people have lost opportunities because they reacted too quickly? How many relationships have been destroyed because someone said what they should have kept to themselves? Silence gives you the space to think before you speak, to respond wisely instead of reacting impulsively. There is a reason why some of the most intelligent people say very little. They understand that words carry weight, and once released, they cannot be taken back. Every word you speak can either build you or break you, open doors or close them. That is why silence is not weakness. It is strength under control. Another important aspect of silence is its ability to position you above conflict. When people criticize you, accuse you, or attack you, your first instinct may be to defend yourself. But have you noticed something? The more you explain, the more they question. The more you argue, the more they accuse. Silence breaks that cycle. It removes the fuel that keeps the fire burning. When you stop responding to negativity, you stop giving it life. People cannot fight with someone who refuses to engage. This is not about avoiding responsibility. It is about refusing to be distracted by meaningless battles. Silence is also a tool for observation. When you are silent, you can see and hear things others cannot. You notice details, you understand motives, you discern character. People reveal themselves when you allow them to speak while you remain quiet. You learn more by listening than by talking. When you speak too much, you close the door to new information because you are too busy expressing what you already know. Silence opens the door for wisdom because it keeps your mind ready to receive. Think about the process of growth in nature. Seeds do not grow in noise, they grow in silence, hidden beneath the soil where no one sees them. Your life works the same way. The most significant changes, the most profound transformations, happen in moments of quiet reflection and solitude. When you are constantly surrounded by noise, talking, arguing, explaining, you miss the opportunity to nurture what is inside you. Silence gives you the environment to grow without interference, to plan without sabotage, to prepare without exposure. Some people fear silence because they equate it with loneliness, but silence is not isolation, it is elevation. It is the space where you disconnect from distractions to reconnect with your purpose. Silence allows you to filter your thoughts, to separate what truly matters from what does not. It gives you the clarity to move forward with confidence because your decisions are no longer influenced by pressure or public opinion. Understand this. Those who talk less usually achieve more. Why? Because they are not wasting time explaining their plans. They are executing them. They are not caught up in the noise of arguments. They are focused on results. When you learn to use silence strategically, you position yourself for success. It protects you, it strengthens you, and it gives you authority over your own life. So the next time you feel the urge to respond to every critic, to explain every move, to defend every action, remember this principle. Silence is not weakness, it is wisdom at work. Focusing on yourself is one of the most transformative principles you can ever embrace. Many people waste years of their lives consumed by what others are doing, saying, or thinking. They spend energy comparing themselves, competing with others, and chasing validation from people who often do not even notice them. This is a trap because the more you look outward, the more you neglect what is within. Your real power, your real progress, your real success will never come from monitoring someone else's journey. It will come from investing in your own. The truth is, every person has a unique purpose. No two assignments are the same. The moment you start comparing your life to someone else's timeline, you create unnecessary pressure on yourself. You start making decisions based on competition instead of conviction. You buy things you don't need to impress people who don't care. You start running a race that was never meant for you. Focusing on yourself frees you from that trap. It allows you to measure progress based on your growth, not someone else's highlight reel. When you choose to focus inward, something powerful happens. You discover areas in your life that need development. You notice habits that need to change, skills that need to improve, and attitudes that need to shift. This is where growth begins. Self-focus does not mean selfishness. It means prioritizing personal development so that you can function at your best. If you are constantly giving attention to others, how will you have time to refine yourself? How will you learn new skills? How will you strengthen your mind and character? You cannot pour into others if you are empty. You cannot lead effectively if you are broken internally. Focusing on yourself ensures that you are always growing, always improving, always becoming a better version of who you were yesterday. Another important reason to focus on yourself is clarity of purpose. The world is full of voices. Everyone has an opinion about how you should live, what you should do, and where you should go. If you are not careful, you will live your entire life trying to meet expectations that were never yours to carry. You will build dreams that don't belong to you. You will pursue goals that don't align with your values. Why? Because you were too busy listening to the noise around you instead of the voice within you. When you turn your attention inward, you begin to hear that inner conviction. You start asking important questions. What am I gifted to do? What problems am I called to solve? What difference do I want to make in the world? These questions cannot be answered if your eyes are always on others. Focusing on yourself also builds confidence. When you work on your skills, when you develop your talents, when you invest in knowledge, you become valuable. Confidence does not come from comparing yourself to others. It comes from competence. The more you know, the more you grow, and the more you grow, the less you need external validation. People who are insecure often spend the most time watching others because they don't believe in what they carry. But when you know your worth, you no longer need to prove anything. Your results will speak for you. There is also freedom in self-focus. You stop competing with people. You stop resenting their success. You stop feeling inadequate when others achieve something great because you understand that their success does not diminish yours. Instead of jealousy, you feel inspired. Instead of comparison, you feel gratitude. That is the beauty of focusing on your lane. You realize that what is meant for you cannot miss you. You stop rushing. You stop forcing things. You start trusting the process. The truth is, the more you focus on others, the more distracted you become from your purpose. Distraction is the enemy of destiny, but when your eyes are on your own growth, when your energy is invested in becoming better, you will see results that no one can ignore. So stop wasting time watching others live their lives. Stop scrolling through their victories while ignoring your own potential. Focus on yourself, read more, learn more, build discipline, improve your character, strengthen your mind, because at the end of the day, your future depends on what you do for yourself, not on what anyone else is doing. Noise is one of the greatest enemies of vision. The moment you allow too many voices, too many opinions, and too much distraction into your life, your clarity begins to fade. Vision requires focus, and focus demands silence. When there is constant noise around you, whether it is from people, media, social platforms, or even your own unnecessary conversations, you lose the ability to see clearly where you are going. Noise blinds you because it pulls your attention away from the path that leads to your purpose and scatters it across things that do not matter. Every person who has achieved something great has understood this principle. To accomplish anything significant, you must protect your mind from noise. Most people fail not because they lack talent or opportunities, but because they are too distracted to recognize the opportunities in front of them. Distraction can be louder than failure. It can keep you busy doing things that look important, but are completely irrelevant to your assignment. Noise creates confusion, and confusion breeds frustration. That is why some people feel stuck even though they are always doing something. They confuse movement with progress. Just because you are active does not mean you are advancing. Noise comes in many forms. It could be people's opinions about your life, unnecessary arguments, constant updates on what everyone else is doing, or even the pressure to respond to critics. All these things create mental clutter, and mental clutter destroys creativity and innovation. You cannot produce your best ideas when your mind is crowded with unnecessary conversations. The human brain functions best when it has space to think deeply, plan carefully, and execute effectively. But that space cannot exist in a noisy environment. Sometimes you have to shut down the noise, not because you hate people, but because you value your vision. Another dangerous effect of noise is that it shifts your priorities. When you keep listening to every opinion, you start making decisions based on public expectation instead of personal conviction. You start living to please others instead of fulfilling your purpose. For example, some people share every plan they have on social media because they want validation, but that creates unnecessary pressure. When things do not happen as expected, they feel embarrassed or even give up altogether. Why? Because noise robbed them of patience and replaced it with performance anxiety. They were too focused on proving themselves to others instead of staying committed to the process. Silence, on the other hand, is a shield against noise. When you choose to reduce unnecessary conversations, avoid meaningless debates, and stop oversharing your goals, you create a safe environment for your vision to grow. Think of a seed planted in the ground. It needs darkness and quietness to develop roots. If you keep exposing it to light too early, it dies. Your dreams work the same way. They need time to grow in silence before they can handle the exposure. But many people fail because they let noise into the process. They announce too soon. They invite too many opinions. They listen to people who cannot see what they see, and in the end, they abandon their dreams because the noise became louder than their conviction. If you want to protect your vision, you must learn to create boundaries around your focus. Not every call needs an answer. Not every comment deserves a reply. Not every trend requires your participation. You must be ruthless about what enters your mind. Your mind is like a garden. Whatever you allow to grow there will eventually show in your life. If you fill it with noise, confusion will bloom. If you fill it with focus, success will bloom. That choice is yours. Noise may seem harmless, but it has the power to derail an entire destiny. You cannot see clearly in a storm, and you cannot plan effectively in chaos. If you want your vision to live, you must eliminate the distractions and embrace silence. Because silence does not just keep you focused, it keeps your purpose alive. Growth is a process that thrives in hidden places, not in the spotlight. The most significant seasons of transformation in your life will happen when no one is watching. There is a reason why the roots of a tree grow underground. They grow in silence, away from exposure, away from attention, away from noise. Those roots determine the strength of the tree, yet no one sees them. In the same way, your greatest strength, your greatest preparation, Your greatest progress will happen in seasons of quietness. This is a principle many people fail to understand because they are too eager to be seen, too anxious to announce every move, too impatient to allow the process to work. We live in a generation that glorifies visibility. People want to post every step, share every idea, and announce every plan. They want to look successful before they are actually successful. The problem with this approach is that it attracts unnecessary attention, criticism, and pressure. The more you expose your process too early, the more vulnerable you become to opinions that can kill your confidence. That is why some people give up on their dreams, not because the dream was impossible, but because they allowed too many voices into a season that was meant to be private. Growth requires protection, and protection often looks like silence. Quiet seasons are not empty seasons. They are not wasted time. They are preparation time, when nothing seems to be happening on the outside, so much is happening on the inside. This is where you develop discipline, character, skills, and wisdom. This is where you read, learn, practice, and refine your abilities without the pressure of public performance. These are the seasons that build the foundation for everything you will later show to the world. If you skip this process, if you rush into exposure without deep preparation, you will crumble under the weight of what you are trying to carry. There is also a spiritual and mental strength that comes from silent seasons. When you are not distracted by the noise of the crowd, you learn to listen to your own thoughts, to your inner convictions, and to the voice of purpose guiding you. You become more self-aware. You start to recognize patterns that need to change. You begin to understand who you really are and what you are truly capable of. These insights cannot come in a noisy environment. They come in solitude, in stillness, in those moments when it feels like nothing is happening, but in reality, everything is being prepared. Some people fear these seasons because they mistake them for abandonment or failure. They look around and see others moving ahead, posting achievements and celebrating milestones, and they feel left behind. But understand this, your quiet season is not punishment. It is protection. It is the shield that keeps you safe from premature exposure. It is the training ground that builds the strength you will need when your moment comes. If you step into visibility without preparation, you will not last. What is built fast often breaks fast, but what is built slowly, in silence, stands the test of time. Think about the most successful individuals in any field. Their breakthroughs did not happen overnight. What you see in public is the result of years of work in private. The performances, the products, the speeches, the innovations, all of it was born in seasons of obscurity. They invested in their craft when no one was clapping. They worked when no one was watching. They stayed disciplined when no one was cheering. That is what separates those who succeed from those who only dream. So do not despise your quiet season. Do not rush out of it. Do not feel pressured to show results before you are ready. Use this time wisely. Develop your mind, sharpen your skills, build strong habits. Prepare for what you are praying for. Because when your season of visibility comes, the world will see the strength that was built in silence. Growth happens in quietness because greatness is never accidental. It is the product of hidden work, consistent effort, and the discipline to remain silent until the right time. Every principle we have discussed leads to one powerful truth. Your success, your growth, and your peace depend on your ability to master silence and focus on yourself. Silence is not weakness, it is wisdom in motion. It is the choice to conserve your energy for what truly matters instead of wasting it on meaningless arguments, unnecessary explanations, and constant distractions. When you embrace silence, you protect your vision, you control your emotions, and you create an environment for clarity. Focusing on yourself is not selfish, it is strategic. It is understanding that your assignment requires your full attention. When you stop comparing your life to others and start investing in your own growth, you unlock potential that comparison will always kill. You were never called to live someone else's life. You were designed for your own lane, your own purpose, and your own process. That process demands discipline, patience, and intentional effort. Noise is the enemy of progress. It will keep you distracted, keep you anxious, and keep you from recognizing the opportunities that are right in front of you. That is why you must learn to tune out the noise, set boundaries, and create space for your mind to think, plan, and execute. Protect your focus like your life depends on it, because in many ways it does. Finally, never underestimate the power of quiet seasons. These are not wasted moments, they are seasons of preparation. This is where you build roots deep enough to sustain the weight of your future. What you do in silence will always speak louder than what you say in public. So use this time wisely, read, learn, build, pray, prepare, because when the moment comes for your light to shine, the world will see a version of you that was shaped in silence. The truth is simple. Success does not come from noise, comparison, or constant exposure. It comes from focus, discipline, and wisdom. So make a decision today. Stop chasing validation, stop explaining every move, and stop allowing distractions to drain your energy. Focus on yourself, stay silent, let your results speak for you. When you master these principles, you will live with peace, move with purpose, and achieve what others only dream about.